Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. Well, as we speak, the debate on Operation Sindoor continues in Lok Sabha. And today, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar also addressed the House when he spoke on Operation Sindoor. He set the record straight in terms of the facts that the DGMO of Pakistan asked for the ceasefire, and there was no phone call whatsoever between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. He also launched a blistering attack on the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi. Let's put out the 5-point charges by Dr. Jaishankar on Rahul Gandhi, and then we tell you why are each of those charges so important and need to be told in greater detail. The first and most important thing that he put out was that, did you think of hitting Bahawalpur? That's how deep that the Indian army has gone, and something that, in fact, the Indian Armed Forces went, something that Dr. Jaishankar said was unthinkable during the UPA era. The second charge that was levied was, those who did nothing are actually questioning us. That's the second charge that's been levied by Dr. Jaishankar. The third being that no call took place between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. Repeatedly, this claim has been made and has been asked again and again, clarified on the floor of the House. The next charge that was levied was satellite images of Pakistani bases show the kind of damage. Again, many people have been asking in the opposition side, show the proof. Where's the proof? He spoke about it on the floor of the House. And the last thing that he did say was very clearly that our efforts led to the US action on TRF, which has now been banned, a global terrorist organization. And this was the 5-point charge that was levied. And in addition, then there was a blistering attack as well. Now, as he spoke, there's also a clear clarification that he made with regard to the Trump issue that again and again has been taken up by the opposition parties. Even today, Trump did make yet another claim about mediation role in India's Operation Sindoor. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar fact-checked him yet again. On the floor of the House, the minister made it absolutely clear no phone call whatsoever took place between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. So while Trump can keep making those claims, partly probably to keep his Nobel Peace Prize ambitions alive and kicking, the question is, why is the political class not willing to listen in to their own government and still continue to follow the agenda that's been put out by foreign governments? And let's put that out one by one. The number of times that Donald Trump has actually claimed credit as far as ending the war, something that India has repeatedly clarified too. First and foremost, in fact, this was in May when it said that US mediation via trade pressure. That was the first claim that was made, fact-checked by Indian government, where it categorically said no such trade was actually mentioned. Let's move ahead. Second week is when 8 claims were made in 11 days. So this was said again and again by Donald Trump's administration, because as I said, there was also a domestic audience that he needed to address to and he needed to cater to. But all in all and always, India was clarifying and fact-checking him. Again, let's move ahead. By 13th of June, 13 claims had come in within 34 days. By 15th of July, that had actually risen to 22 claims. And by 23rd of July, that has actually now risen to 25 total claims that have been made so far by Donald Trump. Finally, before we get in our guest joining us this evening to talk more about what does this really mean, the claims that have actually been made by Donald Trump. Let's put that out very quickly for our viewers to know. First and foremost, the biggest claim that he's been making again and again, that he's stopped the war. The second claim that he made was, let's make a deal and let's do trading. That's the second thing that he said. And the final thing was, let's not trade nuclear missiles. All of this has been fact-checked by the Indian government, by by our External Affairs Minister, but it seems that it isn't enough when it comes to the opposition parties. They've been talking about it again and again and again. I'm going to put that out question to the panelists joining me this evening, but first up, I want to play out that face-off to really tell you the kind of the importance of why this needs to be discussed in greater detail.
My administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of 2 nations with lots of nuclear weapons. And we helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop.
At no stage in any conversation with the United States was there any linkage with trade and what was going on. Secondly, please listen. Secondly, there was no call between the Prime Minister and President Trump from the 22nd of April, when President Trump called up to convey his sympathy, and the 17th of June, when he called up Prime Minister in Canada to explain why he could not meet.
All right, Prabhu Dayal joins me on the broadcast. Tushar Gupta in just a bit, and I also have Asad Abbas, who's a political analyst supporting the Congress party. Mr. Abbas, let me start with you. As things stand right now, the External Affairs Minister has set the record straight on the floor of the House, answering essentially all questions that the Congress party had. Do you think it's now, with no ambiguity whatsoever now, do you think that it's now time for the Congress party to revisit its stance on Operation Sindoor that it has been having all along?
Gauriji, before coming on your show, I was watching Lex Friedman's very famous podcast with Adarniya Pradhan Mantri Modi ji, in which he said that the opposition is the backbone of democracy. He welcomes criticism and he loves criticism. Therefore, this reminds me of George Washington, who once said, when you do the most common things in life, in the most uncommon way, you command the attention of the world. Adarniya Pradhan Mantri Modi ji, being a Vishwaguru and a global leader, more than half a dozen countries have adorned him with the highest civilian award. The fact of the matter is, when Trump from the White House lied about bridging the gap between India and Pakistan, when he lied about being the cause of the ceasefire, I believe, and the Congress party believes, that Adarniya Pradhan Mantri Modi ji must have tweeted or made a statement saying, no, Mr. Donald Trump, this is an absolute lie.
No. The question was very simple, sir. The question was that on the floor of the House, External Affairs Minister has clarified in no uncertain terms. What is it that is now the bone of contention here? Why is the Congress party now not willing to revisit its earlier stance as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned?
The bone of contention here, Gauriji, is that when it comes from Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, the world sits up and takes notice. It's a lot more of importance and sacrosanct for Modi ji to call out the lie of Donald Trump. That is all the Congress party is seeking. Also, Gaurav Gogai ji mentioned that what we are looking forward to hear is, how did Pahalgam happen? How did the terrorists enter Kashmir? How or why did the intelligence failure take place?
No, those are two different things.
Questions.
No. Don't mix up everything, sir. There are two different things, Asad Abbas. One aspect that I am very categorically and focusing on, asking you about, is the fact that the lies by Donald Trump has been busted, fact-checked by our minister. And why is it that you're not believing that? Let me get in Tushar Gupta on this broadcast as well. Before I get in and ask about what many believe are serious questions with regard to the integrity of the leader of opposition that have been raised by External Affairs Minister today. Tushar, your first thoughts on the fact that Donald Trump has been fact-checked yet again, not good enough for the Congress party?
The Congress has made its decision. They want to believe Donald Trump over the Indian Armed Forces. They want to believe what Donald Trump rambles over what the government is saying. So they have made their choice very clearly. It is driven by their political compulsion. So as many factors as may come, as many statements may come, as many declarations may come on the floor of the parliament, the Congress is not going to budge. Even tomorrow, when the leaders of the Congress speak, they'll talk about what Donald Trump is uttering. What surprises me is Donald Trump has also been talking about ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. And look where those two countries are. Donald Trump was also claiming a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. And the very next moment, the ceasefire was violated. So I don't know why Congress is looking up to Donald Trump with such credibility, or it's just a political choice they're making. But I think the Congress should really trust the Indian Armed Forces. I can understand a disagreement with the BJP as a party, even with the government for that matter. But what I don't understand is the disagreement with the Indian Armed Forces for being very clear that there were certain political and strategic objectives with which they started Operation Sindoor, and once they were achieved, they paused the operation, did not end the operation, but paused the operation. But I don't think there is any power on this planet, at least, that can convince the Congress that this is the version of truth. They'll believe the version they want to. It's that simple.
Okay, very quickly before I get in Prabhu Dayal as well, the other aspect, which is that it was asked that the leader of the opposition, who was still the MP then earlier, had gone to China at the time when the Doklam conflict was taking place, raising serious questions about the integrity of the leader of opposition. Respond to that, Asad Abbas.
It's absolutely unfortunate that we are asking a question to the leader of opposition, whereas let us understand that today it is the Bharatiya Janata Party which is the ruling party and they are answerable. Why don't we raise question as to how did Pahalgam happen? How did the terrorists enter? How were innocent Indians killed in Pahalgam?
No, all those are valid questions, but so is the fact that Rahul Gandhi was in China when the Doklam tension was happening.
Please. Just give me 30 seconds, please.
No, don't mix. That's my only point. Take your time, sir.
We can definitely ask the possible questions to Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition. But the fact of the matter is now what has happened. It is Pahalgam that we speak of. Why is it that we always question the leader of opposition and not the ruling prime minister?
Okay.
Prime minister must answer about
quick
the
reaction
intelligence
from
failure.
Tushar on that, and then I get in a closing comment from Prabhu Dayal. Yeah, Tushar.
The PM must answer on intelligence failure. Intelligence failed, so people were killed.
Intelligence, if you're going to harp about the intelligence failure, please also talk about what happened with Operation Mahadev today. You cannot be selective in your discussions. Again, the question here is Indian armed forces are in a standoff with the Chinese military. What did Rahul Gandhi want from the Chinese ambassador that he was not getting from the Indian government? It's a simple question. No one is questioning the constitutional right of Rahul Gandhi to interact with the Chinese ambassador. That's a different question. What everyone is asking, that when the two militaries are locked off in a standoff in a very sensitive area, why is Rahul Gandhi finding that urge to visit the Chinese ambassador? That is the serious conflict of interest.
Rahul Gandhi is not the Prime Minister of the country, sir. You can question the LOP, but Prime Minister is also answerable. History repeats itself and we don't learn from history itself. The fact is intelligence failure was there. But nobody is answering about it. Home Minister,
this is
Defense Minister.
shifting the goalposts. I'm sorry, but this is
Asad Abbas, the question was very
goalposts.
simple and very clear. At the cost of repeating, I'm telling you, which is that External Affairs Minister fact-checked Donald Trump yet again on the floor of the House. On the floor of the House, he's clarified. Why is it not good enough? He also then spoke about the fact that those who are custodians or trying to be custodians of national security, there was a long list, he told, what all has the Congress party or what all has Rahul Gandhi done in the past, and he gave specific examples of that. And then he said that at the end of the day, do not come in question at the end, simply because we have a track record of acting unlike the UPA. That is what the crux of Dr. Jaishankar's simple argument was, which is why I'm asking you, he's already spoken on the floor of the House, why isn't it good enough?
It is absolutely good enough, Gauriji. It is sacrosanct. Jaishankar, who is one of the finest ministers in the cabinet, I am not raising two questions about it. We completely agree on that front. Trump is a liar lying through his teeth. In fact, I asked AI on ChatGPT and it listed out more than 100 lies of Trump. That is not the question here. The question is, Adanya Pradhan Mantri Modi ji, who has much higher credibility than
Prabhu Dayal, who's been waiting patiently, and then I get a quick closing comment from Tushar.
10 seconds. When he has a bigger credibility than a Netanyahu or even a Trump, why can't Modi ji make one single tweet and say, Dolan Trump?
Okay. Prabhu Dayal, let me bring you in, sir. Apart, while the political scoring continues, let me understand from you, sir, the diplomatic aspect of this. It was clarified with Dr. Jaishankar's cogent argument about the change, the new normal as far as the India-Pakistan relationship is concerned. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Gauri, first of all, let me clarify that I am not at all politically involved. I am totally neutral. But I am a proud Indian citizen, and I would like to see political parties speak with a unified voice on such important issues as terrorism. Now, having been a diplomat all along in my career for more than 37 years, I can tell you that when it comes to speaking out on matters pertaining to other countries, the External Affairs Minister is good enough. The Prime Minister doesn't have to speak out on each and every issue. And the Government of India, including the External Affairs Minister, have repeatedly said that they acceded to Pakistan's request for a ceasefire because Pakistan literally came on bended knees and asked for it. There was no US interference whatsoever. And I believe my government. And I would like the political parties to speak with one voice.
Exactly.
Terrorism is a very important threat.
Absolutely.
We can't be divided on this issue because if we are divided, it weakens our international position. You know, of
Absolutely,
course,
sir.
Donald
Absolutely.
Trump has a strong business interest in
Absolutely,
Pakistan.
sir.
He didn't want this war to continue. Perhaps he spoke to the Pakistanis. But when our government says that he never spoke to us,
That
and
should
that
be the
we
final word
have
there.
formed
That
our
should be the
independent
final
policy, I
word
believe
for every Indian. Absolutely. Quick closing comments, Tushar, as we wrap this up.
You know, on the morning of May 10th, something was hit by the Indian Armed Forces. I don't know, probably somewhere in Sargodha. And there were a lot of news coming in that day about some sort of a nuclear target being breached. Of course, officially it was denied, but something did happen on the morning of May 10th. And that's the missing piece in this larger puzzle,
Okay.
which nudged the Pakistani DGMO to call for a ceasefire. And that has been the version of the government ever since, that there was
Absolutely.
something that happened on the morning of May 10th, and we still
Yeah.
don't know what it is. It's probably classified. But the Pakistani DGMO
Yes.
nudged for a ceasefire. It wasn't some sort of an external party interference.
Absolutely.
And this is what
and
the
the
government
facts
has
are
been saying.
absolutely clear there. And why is it that that shouldn't be the final word remains to be seen. I have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
me
you.
on this edition at NDTV.